Hey everyone, I'm Anders, producer of Retail on the Go, and I'm excited to welcome you back. It's been a while, but we're back and ready to bring you more conversations about the technology and innovation shaping the future of self-service retail. If you're new here, Retail on the Go is where we sit down with industry leaders and entrepreneurs who are pushing the boundaries of unattended retail. And to kick things off, we have a great episode featuring Ethan from Podplug. They're doing some really exciting things to make nightlife vending efficient and tech-driven. We'll dive into how Podplug got started, the challenges of launching a new solution in the industry, and where things are headed next. So stick around. It's going to be a great conversation, and we've got a lot more coming your way this season. Ready? Let's go.
Hi, welcome back to Retail on the Go. We've been away for a while. We are back. A little bit different structure and format this year as we continue to do these things. Usually we have a couple of us. It's just going to be me, Russ Russell, from the Cantaloupe side, and a bunch of new exciting guests. Like I said, my name is Russ Russell. I'm one of the regional sales directors for the West Coast for Cantaloupe. More on the traditional vending side, been expanding that reach. But excited to be back, and hope all of you have listened before. We got a lot of new exciting things coming up. But to just dive right in, we've got Ethan from Podplug here. An exciting conversation we're going to have with him. He's very widely in different things of the vending world, but current company Podplug, Revolutionizing kind of the vending operations with some pretty innovative technology, innovative placement. We're just going to talk to him a little bit about his journey, the different challenges that he's had, and then kind of insights on what he feels like is honestly really next up for the industry as we continue to evolve. So Ethan, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll just dive right in.
Yeah, nice to meet everybody. My name is Ethan Cohen, born and raised in LA. Went to the University of Miami for 4 years, undergrad, double majored in finance and real estate, minored in accounting. Obviously didn't do any of those. It was my, kind of going back to my founder story, really. It starts freshman year when I was 18 at UMiami. I was in a pretty bad gambling debt, actually, sports betting. It was a week before Thanksgiving. My dad calls me. He goes, "Why the heck do you have $97 in your bank account?" And I'm just like, oh, God. I had to tell him the truth. And, when I came back for Thanksgiving, he literally made me write a note to my letter to myself, handwritten, and sign it, how I never gamble ever again. And if I do, bad consequences will happen. He put into perspective, too, like losing 15 grand is basically like at least 6 months of full-time work for a blue-collar employee in America, and putting into perspective, and, kind of hit me. When I went back, I was good. Grades got better. Didn't do any of this gambling stuff for like 8 months, and then comes like the NBA finals, and my friends get me back into it. It was bad. I shouldn't have. I made all my money. I made like $6 grand in the summer from a couple of real estate internships. And, now it's my sophomore year, and I lose all of it again. And my dad was this close from pulling me out of school. And I was like, okay, you know what? I got to somehow make money. I have to make my money back somehow, and I'm going to hustle. So I'm going to figure out what to do, right? So at the time, it was around 2018, Juul pods were really popular. Remember like the whole Juul craze, right? One of my friends was selling them to kids in his dorm, and I thought, wow, I could sell them way better than he could because I'm in a fraternity. I have the distribution channel. I have friends in sororities as well. And I thought, okay, how could I legalize this, right? Automate it as well. And I thought, wow, what if there was a vending machine that just sold these products, plus more, right? But in a fraternity house. So same day I had the idea, I cold called maybe 20 or 30 different vending machine suppliers on Google. I just typed in vending machine supplier, vending machine manufacturer, found a few, found this one in Charlotte, North Carolina, who would work really closely with me. Custom coils, get rid of the coin mechanism, get rid of bill acceptor, right? Just make it cashless, because these are people who are 18 to 22, right? No one carries cash anymore. I don't carry cash anymore, very rarely. And we ended up making a little custom, paid about $3,000 for the machine. I wrapped it. My friend made a logo for me, pretty sweet. And the first month the machine was operating, generated $4,000 in revenue at a 60% gross margin. So my profit was like what, $2,400 ish, $2,500 per month. The machine was paid back in 6 weeks.
All right.
I had that same semester I had to leave to study abroad in Barcelona. So my friend was managing the machine. I just paid him $20 to restock. And last day of school in May, it was called senior send-off in the fraternity. I get this video in the morning when I wake up in Barcelona, and I see it has 3 million views on Total Frat Move, which was like the pre-Barstool account. TFM, exactly. They had 2-3 million followers. They crushed it. I got 3 million views, and I ended up getting like 108 DMs, and I'm like, what is this video? I open it, and I see it's this senior getting with a chair, shattering the glass with a chair, and everyone in the background, all the frat kids were going like, oh, free vapes, free vapes. They grabbed all the products, and they were just going crazy in the video. I got to send you guys the video. It's hilarious. But it was a blessing in disguise. As much as upset I was that my machine was shattered, my friend paid me back for it. He was really drunk, and I got all those DMs, and that led to new opportunities. So I got DMs from tons of kids in frat houses saying, "Hey, I want this machine. I want this machine in my frat house, but also this would crush it at my local bar." Right? And I thought, wow, this would do really well in the bars too. So I ended up ordering 10 more machines, refurbished machines for like $3,000 each, to all these different universities: Oxford, Ohio; Columbus, Ohio; Gainesville, Florida; FSU in Tallahassee, right? West Virginia University. I didn't even know that existed. And I had these machines installed there, and the average machine was generating like $2,500 a month. The machine we had in Columbus, Ohio, was doing $6,700 a month. They had tailgates almost every Saturday, and every Saturday during a tailgate, the machine sold like 200 products. It was nuts.
And what year was this right now? Like at what time?
This is 2019.
Okay.
At this point, yeah, like latter end of 2019, right? So that was going really well. I was doing that in the summers. I had a few sales reps in the summers get me some locations in other college bars, and we ended up getting like 21 locations by the summer. And now comes my senior year. And we ended up getting a few locations in Austin, Texas. I had some friends who went to UT. They made introductions to a bar owner. This bar owner had 7 machines. He goes, it had 7 locations. He was like, I want a machine in every single one of my bars. I said, okay, let's do it. I ended up raising some money from friends and family to fund the CapEx of the machines because it was getting a little expensive. And that bar owner introduced us to another bar owner in Dallas. Got a few locations in Dallas. At that point, instead of like the frat kids restocking the machines, we were exiting these we weren't in these college towns only, right? So I thought, okay, how could we restock the machines now? Because it was already an operational nightmare having these frat members restocking the machines. I'm sure a lot of them were stealing. I couldn't really track them properly. Even in the inventory tracking system, it's hard to track everything, right? Because if you order excess inventory, you don't have any warehouse tracking system. So we just did it on Excel, and the numbers got out of whack. But the top line revenue numbers were great, but I couldn't really track their profit that well. But this was more like proof of concept, growth, excitement, right?
And can I jump in real quick? Can I jump in real quick for
Yeah.
the listeners? So you got the bars in Austin,
Yeah.
introduced you got in Dallas. So at that time, so you look at the vending industry as it's, evolved. commissions used to be a very big thing on the food and beverage side, right? Because you're using their electricity and everything else, where that's really shifted, probably more post-COVID with markets and stuff, that you're selling it as an amenity, right? And so you're not giving up those commissions the same way. There's still obviously plenty of commissions out there, but just not as common. So when you were, this is non-traditional vending, right? Where you what kind of commission structure agreement, I guess you would say, did you have with the bars?
Yeah. Good question. Well, in the frats, it was like 5-10% of sales. But in the bars, we started at 7%, and then now we're averaging around 12 to 15%. We have a little competition now in Dallas, so that's increasing commissions, unfortunately, but it is what it is. We increased some of the price. Fortunately, our margins are like 72% gross, so our margins are healthy enough to able to afford such a big commission.
I was going to ask if y'all were just, commission goes up, price increases on everything else. I have a lot of operators. Yeah, I have a lot of operators that, they're going into some non-traditional, locations with markets and stuff, and they're having to give commissions where they normally wouldn't, but typically they're just increasing the price by that to kind of offset it. So I was curious if y'all did that as well.
Exactly. No, it's a great question. And I mean, one thing led to another, and we ended up going back to Total Frat Move and launching a campus ambassador program with them, because I wanted to blow this thing up nationwide in all the college bars possible. And we paid them a few grand for a few posts for a couple week campaign, and we ended up getting they created a co-branded landing page with us. It was like TFM, Podplug, right? And we ended up getting 1,000 applicants in 10 days to become sales reps for us. And now this is my senior year, beginning of second semester, and people wrote essays in their applications, full-fledged, like 7-paragraph essays on. This was before ChatGPT too, so this took them time.
They actually had to write it.
And some of them were so good, and they wrote who they knew, bar managers, bartenders, bar owners, club owners, right? And I reached out to the people who already had pre-existing connections, because it was easy. It was just, hey, make a quick group chat, intro, I'll call them, schedule a meeting, sign a contract, schedule installation, right? Pretty basic. Out of the 1,000 people who applied, I had, within 2.5 weeks, I was doing like 75 cold calls a day. It was a lot. And this was between 4 to 5 classes I was taking. I'd eat 1 meal a day. It was the same chicken restaurant called Pollo Tropical. I'll never forget. It's the bane of my existence. In the food court, it was just 2 pieces of chicken breast and a side of beans. And I ate that every day, 1 meal a day, and I just went back to calling. I ended up recruiting 51 or 52 sales reps in these college towns. So it was about a 5% acceptance rate. And I group trained them, and they ended up closing over 120 locations for me, contracts signed, within just a few weeks. And now it's early February. We ended up raising a little bit more money, got a loan also from my bank, and we instantaneously became the largest customer to our vending machine supplier in Charlotte. They ended up hiring 4 new people to their assembly line, churning out 15 machines a week for us, and just going full force. And we ended up installing 40-something machines. And then COVID happens. We got absolutely destroyed. Worst thing that's happened to the company. And most of the locations shut down, right? So we had to ship everything to Texas, because Texas didn't fully shut down. So we shipped everything to Dallas, because Dallas was growing for us. And we stayed put. The locations we had in Austin and Dallas, the managers and the bartenders were restocking the machines. We had one really reliable one in Fort Worth, Texas, and his name is Brandon Martinez.
That's where I lived. I went to TCU, lived in Fort Worth for a long time.
I love it. We got 22 locations in Fort Worth.
Probably all on West 7th, I'm sure.
Great market, exactly. And Brandon Martinez still with us today, 5 years later, and He is our regional manager and soon to be director of franchise training, because we're franchising the business now. We were dealing, like I mentioned, we were dealing with a lot of operational issues with these markets. We were in like 31 different cities. It was a complete nightmare. So we thought, okay, how could we? I'd rather have 30 machines in one city than 100 machines in 30 cities.
Yeah, exactly.
It is way better. Even though the top line number is not as good, it's way easier to operate, less stressful, and easier to scale in one market, right? So we shifted our strategy, shifted everything to DFW. We even got rid of the Austin. We sold 8 machines in Austin like 8 months ago for $160K on Biz Buy Sell. It took us 2 weeks to sell it, quick. So that was amazing. With the vending business, I mean, it's not as liquid as stocks, but definitely more liquid than real estate. You can sell them pretty quickly.
Yeah. So to take a break and jump in, so obviously, biggest challenge you've had by far is COVID in and of itself, which you could probably list out a million different challenges because of COVID, right? And I think regardless of if you're in traditional vending, not traditional vending, or really any industry for that matter, COVID was the biggest challenge. What do you think, besides the fact that Texas didn't completely shut down, what do you think was like the biggest thing, or like the biggest moment, I guess, for y'all to come out of COVID?
It was me just laying off our entire team. We had people restocking the machines, just route drivers in our markets, and unfortunately, I didn't know it was going to happen. I mean, our revenue went down like 93% within a day. Wow. Yep. You know what I mean? Because we were in bars and clubs. That was the worst industry to get hit. So what happened, I had to lay everyone off, and I flew myself to Texas for an entire month. I went to Austin, Dallas. I was staying at, like Holiday Inns, playing it really lean. I'd have the Holiday Inn, my unit in the hotel was like my warehouse. I had pallets of inventory everywhere I went. I rented a car from Hertz, and it was freezing cold at the time. It was like 30 degrees in Dallas. And I'm from LA. I'm not used to that at all. And I was transporting, boxes and boxes of inventory from my car to the machines to back to my Holiday Inn, right? And I was restocking all the machines like every single day for about a month, just doing that myself. Just being a founder, you got to be scrappy. You have to be the one at the beginning doing everything from A to Z, the sales, the operations, the restocking, the maintenance, right? Even the boring stuff, it's all important. Right?
And at this point, had you differentiated product? Was it still just like vapes and stuff like that, or had you already differentiated?
We shifted just from the Juul pods to like other products, like Zyn was getting really popular, hangover prevention drinks, gum, mint, and now we have mystery bags in our machines as well. You don't know what's in them, but you have a little idea of what's in them. We got drinking card games. We have a lot of gay bars in Dallas, for example, and they have like some naughty novelty items that they requested. So we gave them what they want, and great margins as well. Like we get a lot of these products from Alibaba. We get these bags. We get stickers. We design them on Canva. We print them. A little bit more work, but we get an 80% gross margin on these mystery bags. Really good.
Nice.
And I mean, if you've drank 2, 3 drinks, 4 drinks at a bar, you're gonna want to know what's in that bag. So you're gonna purchase that thing. And recently we've shifted from the traditional vending machines that are like snack machines to smart vending machines. So these are high-tech touchscreen machines. We have some freestanding models, but also we have wall-mounted models. A big problem we were facing with growth was that these bars and clubs didn't have space for a freestanding unit, right? So that gave us an opportunity to say, hey, we can put one of these things on your walls, right? Touchscreen, high tech. We could also run advertisements and monetize on ads. And that's changed the game for us. Way more reception from locations, because these venue owners, these are smaller spots, and the real estate is very valuable. We got a lot of pushback saying, hey, one of these freestanding big clunky machines, stack machines, is equivalent to putting a table. They could sell a table there, right? So we thought, okay, good idea. If you got some wall space, we can put on the wall near the bathrooms where there's heavy foot traffic. And we've seen a lot better reception. We've closed way more accounts since doing so.
And one thing to touch on, so obviously Cantaloupe, we're a technology company.
Yep.
And you kind of just talked about how you changed from like more traditional style vending machines that were just kind of customized to you guys to like the smart vending machines, which even within traditional food and beverage, you've started to see come out more and more. Big screens, right? Everybody wants to see the screens. Then it opens up revenue for ad dollars and things. From a technology perspective, a question that I would personally have is, most of these products, or not all, but some of these products are, depending on the state or location, they have, age restrictions, things like that. Is it because of the location they're in a bar and their ID's technically already been verified, or do y'all use some kind of unattended verification system, or how do you navigate that with technology?
Yeah. Mixture of both. So in the bars that are 21 plus, of course, there's some bars in some states that are 18 plus, right? But the ones that are 21 plus, they don't need ID checking because you got to be 21 to enter the location anyway, right? So that's easier. But for the locations that are family friendly or 18 plus, some of the legal ages are 21 for some of our products. So what we have on our machines, we partner with the technology platform. It's a security company where they have AI biometric verification technology. So on the smart machines, there's a QR code, right? You scan the QR code, it'll prompt you to your web browser, whether you use Safari or Chrome on your phone. It'll prompt you to scan the front of your ID, right? And then it'll prompt you to scan the back of it. And then lastly, you got to do a facial scan. So like on the iPhones or the Androids, whenever you're getting a new phone, you got to scan your face for it to understand your face. Same exact thing. Scan like that for like 8 seconds, and then it'll biometrically match your facial scan to the ID scan, and then the machine will unlock. And that charges us 27 cents a scan, but worth every penny. Of course, it's a little bit, more of a barrier and a little bit more friction to do that when you're in a bar. It'll probably take a total of like a minute to do, but that minute goes fast.
Yeah, I was curious on the user experience.
That's allowed us to get into quite a few locations.
And then once they have that scanned, is that data housed somewhere where they don't have to do it again?
That's a really good question. I need to ask the company about that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think you have to create an account. I think you might have to do it every time. I think we do get a lot of repeat users, but most of our locations aren't, under 21 anyway. Mm-hmm. So not a big problem right now.
All right, cool.
So Ethan, question on, the user experience. I know you said it could be a little clunky or whatever. I was curious about that because, the steps that they have to take. I also kind of agree with you. Like someone's in a bar, they want whatever's in the machine. They'll do whatever they have to do to get it. So maybe it's not too bad. And then obviously, do y'all still primarily focus in Texas, or like, I'm assuming different states have different laws and regulations, and how do you navigate that?
No, it's a good question. We only, our strategy is just going after red states, just less red tape. It's easier to do business. It's easier to get permits. It's just way more lax, and I don't want to deal with increased regulation. So our strategy is saturate the red states first, and then decide, which blue states to go after, right? So right now, most of our locations are in Texas. We have a few in Mississippi. So Oxford, Mississippi, where Ole Miss is. We have 5 machines there, and that's our highest growing market on a unit economic basis per machine. Those 5 machines, each machine is generating about $3,400 a month in revenue. So each machine is crushing it. And that market is 5 machines is 21% of company revenue. Pretty wild.
That's wild.
I know. So we have Oxford. We're about to launch in Jackson, Mississippi, because our operating partner who operates the market in Oxford his best friend lives in Jackson. He told him how much money he's making doing this. We basically give our operating partners 25% of all the profits. in a market to operate it, restock, do the sales, maintenance, etc. Right? So I mean, he's making a solid like, couple grand a month, just doing this 8 hours a week, maybe less. So it's
And
good money.
yeah, and you mentioned earlier y'all are switching to a franchise model, right? So how do you
Exactly.
what can you walk us through without giving away all the juicy details? Like, what's that
Yeah.
going to look like, and how do you think it's going to change your operational like aspects, but
Oh,
also
I'm so
kind of
excited.
your growth strategy too? Honestly, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it'd be to accelerate it, but
Yeah. This is going to be the way we get, nationwide expansion. There's multitude of reasons why we're going to franchise, but I guess the main ones here is because, remember like I mentioned how operating this thing in multiple cities is kind of a nightmare, and just paying people like 20, 22 bucks an hour still doesn't cut it, because in Austin when we had those 8 machines, we got a text, multiple texts and calls from our route driver there who's stocking machines saying on a Friday, saying, "Hey, I got a flat tire. I can't stock the machines. Sorry." And the machines are like half empty. So he'd lose like 4 grand that weekend just because of that, right? But if it's someone who had skin in the game, like a franchisee, which is a business owner, they're going to figure it out. They're going to borrow a car from a friend. They're going to rent a car, whatever it is. They're going to figure it out to make sure they're not losing that 3, 4 grand that weekend, right? Because 95% of our sales happen on Fridays and Saturdays, right? So that was a big reason. We went through like 6 different route drivers in a year. It was too much for me to manage and retrain. It was pretty stressful. Um, so in the meantime, we kind of bridged the gap through the operating partner model. A little bit more skin in the game. They get 25% of the profits, but they're still not a business owner, right? They don't have equity, but incentives are a little bit more aligned, which is good. But we thought franchising is the ultimate way to do this because number one, we get a piece of the pie, right? We get an 8% royalty. The franchisees can buy the machines from us or they can rent the machines from us. We have an agreement with a lender. Took us like 8 months to forge where they can rent machines from us starting at $120 a month, which is awesome. Um, Another thing we could do, another reason why is we're going to be selling products to franchisees as well. So we're making a slight margin on every product we sell. Instead of franchisees having 40 different distributors and suppliers, they can just go through us. So it makes it way easier. We also have our proprietary products like the mystery bags. Um, and this is going to be our way where we can empower entrepreneurs in their own cities to grow with us, become their own business owners, become financially free, get out of the 9 to 5. And our ideal customer profile, our ideal franchisee is a bar manager, a bartender, someone in the nightlife hospitality scene already because they have connections in their city, right? You think of a city like Madison, Wisconsin, big college town. The bar manager probably gets paid 70K a year, but he has connections to all the other bars in town. He knows the owners, he knows the managers, the bartender. The sales portion is going to be cake for them, right? So the training is going to be more operationally heavy, teach them how to run the ops of a vending business, and they buy in. College town, their all in is going to be 35, 40 grand to own their own franchise. And that's pretty low to own a franchise. You look at McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and all these other companies, you had to have $500,000 at the minimum to do this. So the barrier to entry is very low. And in a college town, my assumption is we're going to have about 10 machines operating. And each machine, as you saw in Oxford, Mississippi, and some other college towns we are in, these machines average about 3 grand a month in revenue for about 9, 10 months out of the year. So if they have 10 machines, they're doing over $300,000 a year in revenue. Their net margin is going to be about 25, 30%. So they're going to be doing like 80 to 90K a year in net income, cash flow, just 10 machines, 10 hours of 10 hours of work every week. They could double their income and keep their full-time job as a bar manager. So that's the compelling franchise opportunity to launch in the college towns first.
and where are y'all at in the process? Like, when are you signing the first
Good
franchisee? When's the
question.
first machine going in?
So we're about 2 weeks away from getting our FDD, which is our legal document.
Yep.
to the Federal Trade Commission, and then we could legally start selling franchises in non-registration states, which are coincidentally red states as well. So it does bode well for our strategy.
Very nice. And as we kind of we're coming up to kind of wrap it up and close, I have a couple questions. So the first one to say is like, obviously you've switched to smart vending technology. You have had to bring in some, unattended age verification technology. You're having to really leverage these different things. What advice for listeners, regardless of if they're traditional food and beverage, style vending or any kind of non-traditional vending like yourself, what advice you have on in terms of trying to just, I guess, would stay ahead of the curve and continue to be at the forefront of technology in an industry that until relatively recently hasn't ever embraced it, to be honest?
No, it's a great question. I'd say, obviously people think vending is extremely saturated. Like, well, there's already vending machine in this warehouse. There's already vending machine in that office, etc. I'd still say 80% of vending operators, whenever they get their new locations, they swap an old operator. And that's very normal because these old operators, a lot of the time, they're boomers, right? And their technology is archaic. Some of them don't even have credit card readers on. It's like, what is that? Once you slap on a credit card reader, your sales will increase probably 50%. Probably, So I'd say it depends on a case-by-case basis, right? Obviously, these smart machines cost more money, right? But whenever you're competing for a vending machine location, I mean, I started with refurbished machines. I'd still say new operators could start with refurbished machines. It just depends if that business already has prior vending equipment there, right? Because if they don't, I'd start with the refurbished because it's cheap, right? Why not? But if you're competing for a location that's already there, I'd go with smart vending for sure. With a touch screen on the machine, those are going to cost you, 7 to 8K. But if it's a make it or break it on getting the location, you always want to go with the highest technology machine out there. My machines, I buy a mixture. We used to buy all USA made, but now these smart machines, we go straight to China. They're way cheaper. Instead of paying $8,000 for a US machine, we pay like $3,000 for a Chinese machine, and their technology is elite, to be honest. It's very good, surprisingly. I had a misconception before saying that whatever's from China is bad quality, but it's not true. It's just their labor cost is lower, which is a big benefit. So the only thing that's annoying is that the lead time is about a month. So you got to order, a few machines at a time. But staying on trend, I'd say look into these smart machines for sure. I know there are other brands out there also that have smart technology. I know Cantaloupe is killing it with their smart coolers as well and their micro markets. But my tip is if a location doesn't have a machine, go with the refurbished. Doesn't matter if it's smart, but if a location already does have a machine, show them that your machine is way better, higher tech. You'll provide better service, and you'll win that account.
Nice. I like that advice. Refurbish for new. Spend the money to really impress them after the fact. Well, I mean, we are coming up on time. I guess the couple only really other thing is, so if people want to learn more about Podplug, want to potentially be a franchisee or whatever it may be, where's the best place to find you? I'm assuming social media. You could shout those out. Shameless plugs for Podplug.
I mean, on our website, just podplug.com, podplug.com. We have a page that for people who want to become a franchisee, you could apply there. If you're a venue owner, bar, club, and you want a machine as well, you could submit a form as well. We look at those emails every day. But if you want to follow my journey, I write a lot on X/Twitter, just Ethan_Cohen, Kohan. And LinkedIn as well. You'll see me as the vending guy on LinkedIn. And I'm now in about a week from now, I'm going to start getting into video as well. I just hired a video editor. So I'm going to start doing YouTube long form videos, YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, and TikToks as well all things vending and only vending. So I'm really excited about that. My video platforms, it's going to be called at Vending Guy Ethan. And really excited to get more content out there. I have a newsletter every week too. It's called Becoming a Vendpreneur. I just trademarked that name, that word, Vendpreneur.
Very nice.
So that was pretty exciting. So that goes out to over 1,000 people every week. Just actionable tips, tricks on how to start a vending business, efficiencies, sales tactics, operations, etc., and just journey sharing. So all this stuff is free. And if you really want to, dive deep into vending and you want hands-on, I recently started a coaching program called Vending Machine Launchpad with my partner and, big time vending YouTuber, Jaime Ibanez. He's got over 500,000 YouTube subs, almost 50K on Instagram, growing a lot on TikTok right now. He goes live every day on TikTok. And we partnered up, educational program teaching people how to start a vending machine business from scratch, from the ground up. And you're going to get a lot of hand-holding from us. It's $149 a month. Honestly, if I had something like this before I started, I would have jumped in because I made over $200,000 in mistakes. You get 3 live calls a week with us. One day operations, one day sales, one day live Q&A and accountability. We make sure that you're hitting your numbers every single week. We have sales scripts, email scripts, flyer templates, website templates, brochure templates, contracts, really everything you need from A to Z, from our combined 11 years of experience in vending. So really excited to have that, and we're growing it every day. We're getting 1 to 2 new members joining us every single day. So really excited to teach everyone. It's one of my passions as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Jaime, good Fort Worth boy. He went to high school.
Yeah.
I know Jaime went to high school about 2 blocks from where I went to college. So, I'm assuming so. But I'm assuming you'll be at NAMA this year in Vegas. If people want to come say hi and everything else. Yeah. And I would love to meet you in person. I'd love to meet you in person as well. So we'll all be in Vegas for NAMA. But man, Ethan, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. And I appreciate. I'm entrepreneurial minded. I love the journey, the scrappiness, the figuring it out as you go. I love hearing those. For a second there, I thought I was Guy Raz and this was how I built this podcast. I felt pretty cool, while you were sharing your story and journey. But again, we thank you so much and appreciate it. And everybody listening, again, we're back, Retail on the Go. As you can tell, we're branching out to a lot of different things and non-traditional vending and just really getting everybody thinking about the different ways to, do unattended retail, as the new buzzword is. So, we will have, more episodes coming soon. So please continue to listen, reach out to Ethan if you want to find out more about PodPlug, you want to find out more about their coaching program and everything else. And, also, I guess we'll all see you at NAMA in May if you're there.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you, Russ and Anders. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you
hope to have you again. This was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, guys.